Okay, so this speech is about beer, chocolate and coffee and the link with climate change, just to make it a bit more complicated. So the big question here is, are we talking about global warming seriously enough? Unfortunately, our failure to act, compounded by bad weather, might mean that many of the pleasures we take for granted could disappear. Climate change is the biggest threat to our species. Scientists say that rising seas will envelop major cities around the world, while heat waves will bring wildfires and torrential rains. The world's most preeminent climate scientists have submitted thousands of reports warning of the danger of continuing to spew carbon into the atmosphere. And yet, the governments of the world have continued to ignore them. What's more, across the world, weather extremes are becoming more frequent. But warmer air also holds more water, meaning that climate change will also bring more rainfall. Carbon dioxide doesn't just heat up the atmosphere, it also turns the ocean into an acidic soup that eats away the shells of much-loved mollusks. In the UK, very little is known about the future of the industry, according to the director of the marine section of the Institute of Fisheries Management. He explains that this is an extremely difficult subject and nobody has the information. However, a spokesman from Guinness has warned that changes in climate caused by human activity have the potential to create unprecedented social, economic, and environmental challenges. Maybe now that the beer experts are making a point, people will start to listen. And now for the worst piece of news ever. The world is running out of chocolate. That's because climate change and crippling poverty are driving Africa's cocoa farmers to produce other crops. In 4 decades, the amount of land available for growing cocoa has dropped by 40%. In the next 40 years, the temperature in Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire, where 70% of cocoa is grown, is set to rise by 2 degrees centigrade. That's going to make it too hot and too dry for cocoa trees. We're already on the way to peak chocolate. By 2020, world cocoa demand is set to outstrip supply by 1 million tons. That's 90 billion lint balls. But what about coffee? We all know there is nothing worse than a hangover, except maybe a hangover with no coffee. Annoyingly, the coffee growers of flooded Honduras and drought-stricken Brazil and all those other places you didn't know your coffee came from might not be able to get coffee beans to grow in a warmer climate. The problem has already started to impact Vietnam, where farmers have run out of water and stopped sending coffee overseas. Amazingly, coffee growers don't tend to drink much coffee. Maybe because they earn roughly half the price of a cappuccino a day.